a bit of a take, a little bit of an update on the Tomohiro Saito deck.
Sure.
Basically, that was on Twitter everywhere, and you see Ben Lundquist playing a deck very much in his range if you know Ben at all, as per control. You got a favorite in this one? Just taking a look at the deck list.
I suspect Red Green Aggro is going to be a little bit of a favorite. Typically, that's the tough matchup for these Esper decks.
Okay.
Are these very aggressive decks, and here we see, he can really come out of the gates, and if Ben stumbles at all or doesn't have a timely Supreme Verdict, could easily find himself just overrunning and dead.
We see, 4 Stromkirk Nobles, 4 Rakdos Cacklers, Burning Tree Emissary, Hoofport, Boros Reckoner, and Gorklan Rampager as the 4 of, so going along with 3 Lightning Maulers, 3 Zealots, and 3 Hell Riders, a little bit of reach in the form of 4 Searing Spears, and then just 2 copies of Rancor for Max on the left there. And then Ben's Esper control deck, we've seen versions like Shaheen Sarani's, he was playing a bunch of Planeswalkers in his version, and he's obviously having success with that as he is still in top 8 contention. Ben's is instant heavy. Right. He's got your Augur Bolas, his Restoration Angels, and Snapcasters.
I mean, I think it's a pretty typical list. It's splashing black just for some removal, and obviously your Drown Yards to win the game. 4 Drown Yards in this list, which is I think more than you typically see.
You don't typically see 3, I think?
Yep, 3 I think is conventional.
Normally a sweet number.
But we have 2 Devour Fleshes, a Dimir Charm, and an Ultimate Price as his removal, plus an Oblivion Ring, and 1 main deck Jace Memory Adept. Not good in this matchup, obviously. Jace not really where we want to be, but pre-sideboarding a little bit for the control mirrors.
It's a bit of, the interesting thing there is I don't think Jace having 1 in your main deck probably doesn't come back to bite you too much in this tournament.
No, I think it's definitely worth the risk in these aggressive matchups. We do see 3 Syncopates as Benny's counterspell of choice. Better, you can cast it on turn 2, much better in this matchup, giving him some additional play on the second turn. Yep. Maybe stopping a Burning Tree Emissary chain from getting going out of Max when he's on the play.
We'll be coming back to that match for you guys in just a moment, just having a little chit-chat with the judge down there. So we'll get everything worked out for you guys. Syncopate I actually want to bring up, maybe highlight a little bit. It's a card that, it came back, it was reprinted. People remember Syncopate from when it was first released back in the day in Odyssey. Being a pretty good counterspell, taking care of Call of the Herd, among other things.
Sure.
You see it come back now. It's a little bit underpowered compared to maybe some of your other counter Magic. But this is a card that I think it's interesting where, because Magic's so cyclical, people start playing around certain counterspells. They start playing around Counterflux, Dissipate, Dispel, Negate, and then you get Syncopated for one and you just go, oh.
Yep, forgot about that one.
Yeah, and I think that one's kind of easy to forget about. And now you see 3 here in Ben's deck. We saw a couple in Joe Bass's deck list last round as well. So you see a Syncopate counter, a Sphinx Revelation for 2 mana, and that's jarring.
Absolutely. It definitely plays an important role in mixing up what counterspells you have available to you. And we also see, between Dissipate and Syncopate, the counterspells today are all really removing things from the game, which is very interesting in this current format with Unburial Rites being such a huge player. You still get that same kind of upside against the Reanimator decks.
Yeah, and I think, Syncopate, it's interesting because once Syncopate starts to become commonplace, it gets a lot worse.
Right, people start playing around it a little bit more. But at the same time, you can't always play around it that effectively. It's just, it will eventually counter something, usually. You have a lot of mana, a lot of lands in this deck. And the key thing is be aware that it can happen so you don't get blown out by it.
So we'll see if Max runs into that. We'll see if it's effective for Ben. We'll see what's going to happen. It looks like both players are happy with their hands. They're just waiting for the green light here as Ben wants to go, and he does go with the Hallowed Fountain tapped.
Max looks like he has a, I was going to say it looks like he has a slow hand, but it must be a 1-drop hiding in the back. Maybe a Stromkirk Noble. Oh, a Rakdos Cackler coming out here for Max. And we saw he also has a follow-up there on turn 2 with an Ash Zealot. So he's going to be off to an aggressive start, kind of what Ben's afraid of, although it looks like not a second red source in his hand. 2 Temple Gardens.
Yeah, you see the Temple Gardens in their hand, and the Temple Garden is a card that's kind of strange in this deck when you immediately look at it, as this deck is deemed red-green aggro. But the reason you see that is because it's a green source that allows you to actually cast Boros Reckoner. So that's the innovation that you see there. Green source actually lets you cast Rancor without embarrassing yourself, not being able to cast Reckoner. You're going to see an Augur Bolas here from Benny. Going to show you a Devour Flesh, a Think Twice, and a Glacial Fortress.
That is a great Augur Bolas right there. It's going to shut down the offense. This is where that card shines. Pick up a Rule Spell as well. And especially great against the Lightning Mauler we see in Max's hand. Because at least the Cackler will just push and can attack into it. But with that Mauler as his 2-drop, he won't be able to get a second attack in this turn.
And now Max needs to consider how he wants to play around this Edict effect that he knows that Ben has. Alternatively, he has to consider, all right, how am I going to also push damage through on this Augur Bolas, because this thing's certainly annoying.
I would expect Max here to throw that Lightning Mauler out, don't pair it and say go. Sure, see if maybe Ben won't. Ooh, taking a different line. This is forcing through some damage.
This is forcing through some damage here. So he wants to just run over that Augur Bolus and get that thing out of the way, as maybe he feels, I got to do this eventually. Might as well get it done now. Gorkline Rampage is a card that, you know, it's very good in those aggressive mirrors where blocking does take place, but in this matchup, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble by trying to Blood Rush that thing. So maybe just trying to get across that way is easier, as you do see Max draws a Burning Tree Emissary for the turn. So we might see maybe that and the Lightning Mauler in the beatdowns.
We're ready to get a little spicy here. So again, the concern is that you know, he does have to respect cards like Syncopate. So he needs to play that other land untapped first, I think. I think he may just go Emissary into a Reckoner potentially, and leave himself the Mauler on a recovery from a Wrath out of Ben.
Sure.
Also, he has to assume that in response to the Emissary, he's going to get his Rakdos Cackler Edicted.
Yeah.
Almost certainly.
Did you see Ben thumbing through some cards there? You see an Azorius Charm. You see that Devour Flesh. You're going to see the Temple Garden coming to play tapped on Max's side. You also see a Supreme Verdict over there as well.
I actually hate just playing the Reckoner here and saying go, and then next turn Emissary and a Mauler attack with everything.
Sure, get your damage in that way.
And I think that might be better than what his other options. He's choosing to go with the Emissary directly, and actually it's going to give him red now to cast that Ash Zealot potentially.
The question is how does he want to go about trying to pace this game and trying to build his army? As you see the Lightning Mauler, you see the Ash Zealot, and you see, of course, the Boros Reckoner that you can't cast now. But so he's going to go with the Ash Zealot, and you see him playing his best deliberately, basically saying, Ben, are you going to cast the Devour Flesh now? What exactly do you want to pull the trigger on that?
I'm surprised Ben did not respond to the Emissary with the Devour Flesh. He must. I mean, it strongly suggests to me that he has Wrath.
Yeah, and he does have one in his hand.
Yep.
As you do see a Think Twice here from Ben. He's going to draw a card. Looks like he draws a Hollow Fountain off of that. Follow-up draw is going to be an Augur Bolus. He's going to have to take 2 to cast the Supreme Verdict, but it's going to be a 3-for-1.
Yep. He's going to 9 though, and it's a pretty low life total. If Max can muster together some more action, and he really wants to find a Hell Rider and another red source, ideally.
He needs another red source badly. Because now you're going to see an Augur of Bolas here from Ben. See what he finds off of this one. You see Sphinx Revelation and Azorius Charm. He's going to consult his hand really quickly, as you see a Sphinx Revelation and Azorius Charm already in his hand. So he's going to take the Charm.
Yep. Especially when he's stalled on 4 lands, you don't want to clog your hand with a bunch of expensive X spells. Yeah, we're going to just eat that guy.
He's going to Devour Flesh right away. Part of the reason for that, maybe a little bit of a hedge against maybe a card like Brimstone Volley.
Sure.
Which is not commonplace in these decks, but you don't want to get blown out for it.
He knows he's going to cast it. Might as well play it right away. Now we're actually going to see an Ash Zealot still can't get cast, so just a Lightning Mauler and a go probably here. Okay, put the Rancor. That makes sense. Well, he's tapped out.
Sure.
It's a little awkward putting the Rancor on a creature that will just trade with the Augur.
Yeah.
Not optimal, but I mean, when you know Ben also has an Azorius Charm in his hand, this game feels like it's getting away from you pretty quickly.
So you do see Ben just play Goblet Shrine and pass the turn back. Max just draw a card, and again, these Temple Gardens, you know, they're weird to see here, but they are coming back to hurt him now.
Yep. If you figure if they weren't Temple Gardens, they would just be forests. It's not making a big difference here.
Yeah.
It's not like they're taking the slot of a red source.
Yeah. So let's see what Max is going to try to do this turn, as he cannot play those Ash Zealots in his hand. You see a Searing Spear over there as well,
and a Hell Rider.
And the Hell Rider too. So his draw really falling apart here. Actually, what started off to be a pretty good draw.
And here, if you're Ben, you might even just cycle one of his Azorius Charms end of turn. Certainly, you jump in front of that card and you trade.
You can't trade fast enough.
Even Azorius Charm, knowing that he doesn't, you don't want to let him draw more red mana. Yep. One option, I would probably just trade and just cycle, and save the Azorius Charm for later. Certainly do not want to use that. The second Devour Flesh also in Ben's hand. This is looking pretty bad for Max.
And one of the sweet spots of the Esper control deck and of the blue-white-red control deck, basically of your Sphinx's Revelation decks, is getting yourself to 6 mana so that you can play Revelation 4/3.
Flashback instead.
Yeah,
that makes more sense. I didn't realize you still had that in the graveyard.
Yeah.
That's obviously better than cycling the Azorius Charm.
And now we're going to see an isolated Chapel here. And now he's at what I call sweet spot number 1 for these decks, which is being able to draw 3, gain 3, and start revelating into Revelations. But it looks like he is going to cast Augur Bolas, get some more options to see a Think Twice, so he's going to be able to keep increasing the velocity of his deck, keep hitting those land drops, and cast a back-breaking Revelation. And you see him play it now, Tom, I think because he can either cast a Think Twice and a Azorius Charm plus Devour Flesh, just a lot of options now.
Sure. Here we're going to see, I mean, whatever Max does here, he's in a lot of trouble. So if he plays the Hell Rider attacks with both, he walks into Azorius Charm plus Devour Flesh, killing the Hell Rider, putting that kind of useless Lightning Maul on top of his deck. I don't see a line here where Max can really get any kind of damage through before, and now Ben is in the Revelation range.
Yeah.
So this game's it might take a little while to close out, but you assume Ben, is a 97% favorite to win this one.
Yeah, I think Ben knows he's ahead. I think Max knows that Ben's ahead, and Max is saying, how the heck am I supposed to catch up through these auger boluses and finally drawing my second red source?
It's a little bit too little too late at this point.
So you do see again in Max's hand, Searing Spirit, Ash Zealot, Hell Rider, considering, all right, how do I go about establishing these cards and actually having them do something? And so you are going to see him come with a Hell Rider here. And Ben, one thing you should see when Ben plays this deck, you see it from a lot of people who play Esper very well, is they don't ever panic when something gets cast. A good card like Hell Rider, a card that's very impactful. He picked up his cards, established what he wants to do, and then he's going to execute that game.
Well, here he knows he has all the answers, right? So say Max attacks with both creatures, Ben's gonna Azorius Charm the Lightning Mauler and then Devour Flesh the Hell Rider, leaving Max with a pretty useless, frankly, Lightning Mauler on top of his library.
Sure.
Facing down 2 different 1/3 creatures.
Sure.
It's gonna be really hard for him to come back, and then Ben still has another Azorius Charm and a Revelation in his hand, as well as that Think Twice that he can get things going with as well. So it's interesting there.
The world is his oyster, as you're going to see just that Lightning Mauler come across here.
Playing around Restoration Angel here, but I don't think Max can really afford to.
I mean, the question is, what can you afford to play around? That's what you have to decide, right? Because now Ben is probably just happy to go, all right, double block, Devour Flesh you post combat.
Yep.
And I'm basically trading. I'm not taking any damage. I still have my Augur. The Rancor goes back, sure. And now you see Ben. He's going to cast a Think Twice. We'll see if he's going to cast Devour Flesh too here. As you do see Restoration Angel's the card drawn. He's just going to cycle Azorius Charm.
He knows he can just Devour Flesh next turn. There's no rush.
See Isolated Chapel, the card drawn for him. He also does have a Hollow Fountain in his hand as well, so we'll see which land he decides to play here.
My guess is he's going to play the tap land, yeah, and then he's just going to Devour Flesh and resto that Augur.
It's fun to watch with this deck because you do see Devour Flesh here. It's going to take care of that. Here comes the Augur Bowl. It's getting a little aggressive.
That guy, when that guy starts attacking, you know you're in trouble as an aggressive deck.
It's interesting to watch the Esper deck's mana line up perfectly, where you can play 2 spells in 1 turn. This turn, Ben's able to play a tap land, Devour Flesh. You have Restoration Angel as well, basically daring Max to play a haste creature now, and you can just snipe it off. As now Max is reaching for his mana here. We saw the draw of a Burning Tree Emissary for the turn.
He's tapping interestingly. I would be tapping both of my green-white sources here if I'm going to be casting this Emissary, leaving up Max amounts of red, which it looks like he might be switching to now.
Yeah, it looks like that is what he's going to switch to. So now there's your Burning Tree Emissary. Tap a red mana here. That's going to allow him to cast his Ash Zealot while having a green floating for the Rancor. So there's your Rancor.
Unfortunately, Emissary is showing up too late to step in front of one of those Devour Fleshes, which are, they're Ben only playing 2, they're both gone now. And here we're going to get picked off by any number of things. Maybe just an Azorius Charm. I suspect Ben, though, will just trade with his Restoration Angel. No? Okay.
Just an Azorius Charm.
Just kind of maintain the status quo.
Happy to play as many turns as possible here, I think, right?
Sure. I mean, I think I would have just flashed in my Restoration Angel, blinked my Augur Bolus, and traded with my Resto there. Just more efficient use of your mana. You get to tap out this turn. You still have the Azorius Charm.
I mean, there's not going to be a trade's not going to take place because of first.
Well, it's first,
yeah,
right.
A trade, yeah. I mean, a trade's not going to take place, but at the same time, I mean, a blinking of the Augur Bolus, you can see a new card that might be worth it for the turn.
I completely forgot about the first strike. This is certainly great because now next turn he's going to block with the Augur Bolus and then blink it.
Okay, sure.
Or depending on where the Rancor winds up. He's thinking about Rancoring up his Emissary right here, which is what Ben definitely wants to have happen.
Yeah, he would love for that to happen, but Max is not going to do that. Ben's going to draw a card.
Drew Supreme Verdict again. So now we're just going to say go. We'll Revelation for 5.
Clear up the board the next turn.
Yeah, and just wrath away everything for the following turn.
You see there's the Ash Zealot drawn again. Searing Spear, Rancor, and Ash Zealot's in Max's hand. So there is your Ash Zealot. Here comes your Rancor. Max basically in the same situation. Azorius Charm acting is basically a time walk here. He's going to get in, and this is the tip-off if I've ever seen one. Ben happy to block here, take 1 trample damage. Here is a big-time revelation from Ben. Going to be a gain 5, draw 5 here. Couple of lands, you see an Azorius Charm at an ultimate price.
A little better than Stroke of Genius, that card. I guess you can't target your opponent.
Yeah, so who are you? You give the opponent some life. There is your Supreme Verdict. Rancor is going to go back to the hand. And we know that Max's hand right now is Searing Spear, Rancor, and we're going to see a draw step reveal a land.
Yep. Mountain's showing up too late.
And so now Benny's in the driver's seat. He's going to play himself a 3-4 Restoration Angel. Nothing to blink, but no problem, because he does just want to close this game out now. So he's going to draw a Syncopate, play a Water Grave, and you can see Ben playing a little bit faster now.
Yep.
Time to turn it on and get this one over with.
Well, the game sort of plays itself from here. Ben's not going to commit to any more threats. He's just going to leave that Syncopate up, save it for something that's actually threatening. He'll let creatures resolve and just use his spot removal to pick them off, and then save Syncopate for something that he can't just kill with that ultimate price in his hand.
I'm sorry, you're going to see Ben. You know, when you're ahead like this, you're able to do things like flashback, think twice. You know, just create some more velocity. Draw a Sphinx Revelation. Hey, what the heck? Why not?
At this point, Ben's going to show him his hand, and the game is over. But
typically, what happens here, at least, you know, I'm normally on the Max side of things.
Right.
That's just who I am when I play Magic. Normally, when they show me that second Revelation, I right-click Concede when I'm online. I've seen just about enough. That's how you see Ben organize all the mana. He's going to tap all the mana. And yeah, this is normally the situation where I said, ugh, no more.
Oh,
no more. It's how Max feels too.
I'm going to Searing Spear in response.
Yeah.
All right, now I'll concede.
Yeah, he could double spear the Restoration Angel, but what's the point? So you see Ben Lundquist up a game playing Esper Control against Max McVety playing red-green aggro. We'll take a look at Max's sideboard here. We've got 3 Pillar Flames, 3 Mizzium Mortars, 2 Skull Cracks, 3 Dami Rods, 2 Trader Spuds, and 2 Volcanic Strengths. And Tom, the big thing here to take a look at that's a little bit scary for Max is that he doesn't have a card in his sideboard here that really jumps out at you that says, I'm here to beat Esper.
Oh, Dami Rod says that for sure.
You feel that way?
Yeah, Dami Rod giving you that recurring threat of drawing more creatures, lets you recover from things like Wrath. It's very hard for the Esper deck to actually deal with. Ben, happens to have an Oblivion Ring to do that, but not a lot of other positive ways to interact.
Okay.
Unanswered Dami Rod that then eventually plays that ultimate against that emblem. It's really a big threat in this matchup.
Okay. So we'll see how good Dami Rad can be. I think those Skull Cracks will join us as well.
Absolutely.
Just to try to counteract a Sphinx Revelation.
Yep.
That's the best attempt. And then the rest of the cards, it's just a bit pinpoint removal and some threatens and some Volcanic Strength. So no reason to see those come in. We'll see what the 5 cards are going to be that come out, and we'll see how big of a role Dami Rad can play in this matchup.
I guess it's mostly going to be some spells coming out, although those Boros Reckoner is not the most efficient threat in this deck.
Four-Clan Rampager certainly isn't all that appealing.
That as well, too. I think those, you can shave those numbers, maybe cut some Searing Spears, and just really maximize your ability for Dami Rad to flip over creatures and draw you cards.
Any merit to leaving Spear in just to be able to get rid of a Augur Bolus, because that thing's certainly annoying.
I think that's probably better at doing that than the Rampagers. Rampager does force through more damage, but Spear is a little more versatile. Okay. The worst thing in the world is attack with your guy, they block with their thing, and you Rampager and they Azorius Strike.
Yeah.
You don't want that to happen.
There's no worse feeling in the world.
Yeah.
Take a look at Ben's sideboard here, see what he's got to kind of turn around the aggressive matchups more in his favor, even though he is up a game. You see 3 Tragic Slips, you see 2 Evil Twins, 2 Rest in Peace, and then a bunch of 1-ofs, a Psychic Spiral, a Curse of Deathhold, Negate, a Witchbane Orb, a Purify the Grave, a Dispel, an Appetite for Brains, and a Duress. Witchbane Orb seems like one that may come in. I mean, there's not a lot of reach in this red deck where maybe you expect it to have more reach typically, so you might see him sideboard that.
I can't imagine he's bringing that card in. He knows these decks. Once you see Burning Tree Emissary, you know it's a creature-heavy strategy.
Okay.
I don't think Witchbane Orb really does enough there.
Okay.
And Ben doesn't have that many cards he wants to cut. His main deck is pretty anti-aggro.
Sure.
He's going to cut the Jace Memory Adept for sure. Probably cut the Dissipate.
Okay.
But after that, I mean, Syncopate's fine. It's nothing you need to be cutting here. So I think he's going to bring in that Curse of Deathhold probably.
Okay. Not
exceptionally great against Max's deck, but just good against future decks in general. So I think that'll probably come in. And then some number of Tragic Slips. Could very easily be all of them. Okay. I expect it probably to be all of them. That's 4 cards he's looking to bring in. Let's say we shave the Jace Memory Adept, we shave that Dissipate, we maybe cut a Syncopate, and maybe we leave the Curse in the sideboard, something like that.
Any worry of Syncopate on the draw for Ben?
It's a little bit slow. I think maybe here on the draw he'll cut them all then.
Okay.
But we do look at Max's list. Well, there are some decent targets for Tragic Slips. It's not at its best in this matchup. He only has Lightning Maulers and Stromkirk Nobles that will die to it. He doesn't have things like Arbor Elf that are especially vulnerable, but still need to bring in any spot removal you have, I think, if you're Ben.
Yeah, I mean, Tragic Slip, a card much better against 9 Blitz.
Sure.
They have the Boros Lutes, they have their Mare of Aberbrooks, Champion of the Parish you can snag on turn 1. You take a look at this mono red deck, as you said, Stromkirk Noble, Lightning Mauler, just about it. Flinthoof Force, Burning Tree Emissaries, even Rakdos Cackler, those are 2 toughness creatures and higher.
But it does set up a good turn 3, where if you assume you have double black, which is not something you can really safely count on, but if you do have double black, you can play a Devour Flesh into the Tragic Slip.
Yeah.
So you can get those kind of turn 3 double removal spells where you turn Tragic Slip into a 1-mana Terminate.
And you can even find a way to sometimes punish your opponent if he does Searing Spear and Augur Bolus. Your Tragic Slip is turned on. So that's something that can't happen. Again, I wouldn't be surprised, much like you, to see Tragic Slip joining the party. It makes sense, on the surface. We'll see if Ben actually does pull the trigger on that, because it's a removal spell against an aggressive deck. Of course I'd bring it in. That's the easy way to look at it.
See shuffling up here.
If you guys do want to interact with Tom and I from home, feel free. You can join us on Twitter at SCG Live, hashtag SCGINVI. We are here in Atlanta. Tom always with his phone at the ready to check his tweets. He is quite the Twitter man. I'm not doing so bad myself, but we're having fun here in the booth. OSIP taking a break right now, but if you guys, again, do want to interact, see if those strategy clips are going to come in, express your opinion, feel free. Because we do see a turn 1 strong Kirk Noble here
Ben
from
still
Max.
has Jace in his hand.
Ooh.
That is surprising. Maybe he wants a way to close out games a little faster.
I'm actually pretty surprised by that.
Me too.
As we do see Noble come across, counter on that. You're going to see an unleash here from the Cackler. So Max is off to a very, very fast start, and I'm truly surprised to see Jace actually in his deck after sideboard. I mean, here's a card drawing engine can turn the game around. As you do see an Augur Bolus here from Ben, but you know you have to be ahead, and I think if you're ahead at any point, you probably don't need the help as you turn the corner already.
So interesting spot here. So Ben revealed the Supreme Verdict and a think twice there's Augur Bolus. Normally it's an aggressive deck. You say, oh, I want to take this Supreme Verdict.
Sure.
But he already has one in his hand, and he may not want to let Max know that, so Max will overextend into it. But he does decide that having the second one coming and clean up the leftovers more powerful than hiding the information. And I definitely agree with Ben on that one.
This also may make Max slow down now too.
Yep.
Maybe he doesn't commit another threat to the board, which is what Ben wants to happen. He doesn't know if Ben does have lands or not.
Max there with a Rampager.
There's your Rampager
as well. So some of the cards we thought might be coming out, sticking around.
I mean, Rampager pushing through damage on Noble is insane.
Yeah.
You know, trample plus it's going to get the counter, plus it's going to get rid of the Augur Bolus. So you can see and you can see some merit to leaving that card in. We see a Hell Rider in Max's hand. You also see another Gore Clan Rampager in his hand as well as on the screen for you guys.
Ben draws Tragic Slip here. He also has the O-Ring. He's probably going to choose the O-Ring that Noble. And then Max has to probably play the Hell Rider. Oh no, choosing not to, saving it all for the sweeper he's going to be playing next turn. So Max knows he has Wrath. Awkward spot for him. He wants to push as much damage as he can.
Yeah, this is so tough because then you get ruined by like a card like this, or like an Azorius Charm. You get absolutely ruined by the spot removal spells from the Esper deck, where you know if you extend, you get ruined by Verdict, and if you don't extend, and now there's a Tragic Slip. So here's the turn that you brought up.
Turn 3, double removal spell, ending this one, and we see Dominati in Max's hand. Not a bad way to recover here. Get it out there, plus it, and try to draw some cards.
The thing is that you know that as an Esper player, yes, Supreme Verdict is supposed to be this X for 1, but let's say that Max does just play a Hell Rider next turn and attacks. I don't think Ben, as he plays a Gore Clan Rampager, I think Ben is more than happy to trade 1-for-1 Verdict for this guy.
Oh, I agree with that. But not when you have the O-Ring, though, I think.
Sure, I mean, in other circumstances, is my point. Yeah, as you're going to see a Watery Grave come into play, O-Ring's going to take care of the Rampager. He is more than happy to trade 1-for-1 here.
A second Dominati drawn by Max. That is unfortunate. I'd been very tempted to play Dominati last turn. I understand the desire to get a threat on the board. I assume Ben probably has some more action in his hand. We know he has that Wrath at the very least.
Yep.
Start taking this guy out before you worry about putting more creatures on the table.
There is a Flint of Boar. You see Ben's going to take a look at Dominati. You guys see it on the screen as well. Tom talked about getting towards that emblem. Creatures you control have Double Strike, Trample, Hexproof, and Haste, and it's actually realistic to get there in this matchup. So. I wouldn't say it's very realistic in many other matchups, but in this one, because you're never going to be fighting almost, it's realistic. And now you're going to see Jace, Memory Adept here from Ben. And so now Ben's going to try to take over this game with that, drawing some cards, milling his opponent. Or maybe milling himself.
Chose to mill himself here. Interesting. He does have 2 Snapcaster Mages, probably wants to find some fuel for those.
So now it's a little Planeswalker sub-game here. As we do see Max is going to draw what looks like a Lightning Mauler. You're going to see him tick this up here.
So it's going to be a miss. Land, oh, he does not have a land. If he had a land, he could actually just kill that Jace right now.
Yep.
Unfortunately, he does not. Oh no, he still can kill it. If he has the Lightning Mauler plus the Flint Hoof Boar, pairs them, double attacks. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because Boar's on mountain.
It's mountain, right. So I think he can do it. He's probably going to take this opportunity to do so.
So question here for you. Ignore Jace or kill Jace?
Tempted to ignore with Ben already at 14, but when you know he has Wrath in his hand, you can't get him to 9. You're going for a longer game now. You're on the Dominati, just refuel, regroup, and attack again plan.
Okay.
If Ben's drawing an extra card every turn, you're not going to win this game.
Okay.
I would kill the Jace.
You see Max is going through that right now, kind of agonizing of, do I want to waste a turn to kill, basically wasting a turn to kill Jace, and this, I'm using 2 cards to kill it, and then they're going to die to the Supreme Verdict.
That makes it into a 2-for-2.
Yeah, which isn't bad. And then you do have the Planeswalker advantage,
which is, I think, really where you want to be. I think you're not winning the game with those 2 creatures or your hand. His hand is just a Hell Rider. You put him to 9, he wraths and draws an extra card. your Hell Rider attacks for 4. And if he has an Azorius Charm or anything that he's drawing with all these extra cards, wow,
he's gonna go upstairs. He's basically saying, I'm gonna try Dracian and maybe hope that you brick a lot with your Jace. I just don't feel that in a deck that has Sphinx's Revelation, it just feels very unrealistic. You have to play for a longer game, which stinks, but that's how you construct your deck and your sideboard with Damirati's there.
Yeah, I think especially just having the Damirati means you can afford to do that, especially because it's eventually going to ultimate, giving your guys haste.
Yep.
Letting you play for a very powerful long game.
And giving your guys double strike too, which is huge.
And you have another Damirati in your hand, so on turn 7 you get to ultimate and replay.
Yeah.
So here, just turning those 2 cards into a bad pair of Lava Spikes.
Yeah.
Is basically what we just did. Spend 4 mana to not even double Lava Spike your opponent.
And so now you're going to see that tick up. He does miss, and it looks like Ben's probably taking a look, seeing what the ultimate is now. As you are going to see a Hell Rider here. I mean, this has to keep. He has to keep.
Now he's all in.
Yeah, he has to keep going upstairs now. He has to ignore Jace the entire way now. So Hell Rider trigger. It's going to put Ben down to 5 after all is said and done. And you see Max with a stomping ground here that he's considering playing. I'm figuring out what they're going to do with the Damirati as well here. So.
He already peeks.
Yeah, I know. Here, take a look. Just you see him pointing at it, making sure everything's kosher with the game state.
Unfortunately, so because if it was already at 7, I like this line a lot more. If you could potentially ultimate next turn to be lethal, should Ben just tap out for a removal spell or Wrath here. Unfortunately, yes, we see another Sphinx Revelation drawn for Ben. He now has 2 in his hand. Damirati's still a threat.
Yep.
He has to respect that ultimate. Still could be enough to win the game here, and maybe ignoring the Jace will turn out to be correct. But I do think that the marginal advantage you're gaining from those 5 points of damage versus letting Ben draw probably 5 extra cards from that point in time to the end of the game gives him so many chances to draw more spot removal.
Yep.
And the only way to be able to interact with you now is with instant speed removal once you ultimate that Damirati. You know it's going to happen. You have inevitability on that ultimate.
Yeah. You know that Damirati is not going to get taken off the table.
There's a small chance that Ben's also playing some Dimension Spheres or multiple O-rings, but I think you have to assume it's going to be getting there. Ben now going to mill 10, decides time to start trying to end this game. An interesting choice there. I mean, if he doesn't have any instant speed removal, you think maybe he wants to be trying to draw something like an ultimate prize?
The reason I'm interested with this one the most is because we saw Damirati miss last turn. So we know that Max's draw step is a poor one.
Yep.
So it's giving him a fresh and a new live draw here, and he does draw
another Damirati.
Okay. So this is going to go up. Strongkirk Noble is revealed. He's going to draw that, and I think you just hold it.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. You hold all your creatures now until you ultimate.
Yep.
And now we're going to 4-up Ben, and Ben's going to choose to draw a bunch of cards. Interesting. So once Max milled that Skullcrack, I've been very tempted to main phase that Sphinx Revelation.
Yeah.
He was tapped out. I'm afraid of, and we know he has spells in hand, not creatures.
Yep.
I'd be very afraid of getting Skullcracked and just dying, because Ben was dead to a Skullcrack right there.
Yep.
But maybe having one get milled, he thinks Max probably doesn't have that many.
Sure. He certainly opened himself up, the window, he opened himself up to losing in that. So I definitely agree with you there. Something I'd certainly overlooked. I mean, we have the privilege of working with perfect information, only 2 Skullcracks there, but something that he has to think about. And there you see a stomping ground. And again, he does just pass the turn, so he realizes there's no reason to play that Stromkirk Noble.
Ben now has Dissipate in hand as well. So the cards I thought he was boarding out are all still in his deck.
Sure.
I'm actually interested to see when maybe we can talk to him later today and find out what was he boarding out in this matchup if those aren't the cards that he's cutting. Maybe the Syncopate's are the ones that got cut.
I mean, I can certainly see Syncopate being out on the draw.
It seems worse than Dissipate to me, though. This red green aggro deck doesn't have a lot of lands. It's going to be tapping out a lot, even into the late game. A Dissipate for 2, a Syncopate for 2 will probably counter anything he's playing.
Sure. Syncopate for 2 is basically equivalent to Dissipate.
Right, and it has upside. Until then, it's only being cast for 2 mana on turn 2 or turn 3.
So you're going to see another mill for 10. So Ben, again, looking to close out this game here, using Jace aggressively. No more card drawing for Ben. And there go your 10 cards. Ben takes a look really quickly. Now you're going to see Ben tap some mana here. He's going to trade 1 for 1 with that Hell Rider.
Yep. Yeah, I think, yep.
And he's going to play a Water Grave, pass the turn back. Handful of options, Dissipate, the most important of them. As you guys do see Damirati on the screen here, that ultimate's about to go off. As you see Lightning Mauler is the draw. So here is your ultimate. Now, Tom, if on this turn, how do you lead off this turn?
I think you lead with Stromkirk Noble. Ben knows about it. Put him to the test on that one. That guy gaining double strike means on his first combat step, he is going to counter himself up for his second combat step.
Sure.
So basically, you will attack for 3 here.
Okay.
And then you follow it up with the hasty 2-1.
So he is going to start off with Strong Kirk Nova. And you see Lightning Mauler was a draw for Max's turn. He also has 2 copies of Diamond Rad in his hand.
So I think if this gets dissipated, I am actually just going to put Ben down to 1. I'm going to play my 2-1 and hit him for 4.
Dissipate. Takes care of that. Now he's going to snap play that Lightning Mauler. Can't cast it fast enough. So here's a Lightning Mauler. Nothing to pair with it, fortunately for Ben. And so now you're going to see an attack here. Double strike. Lundquist going to move down to 1.
Well, the pairing no longer matters now that all his guys have haste from
Also
the
true.
from the end.
Also true. Yeah.
I thought the same thing for a second.
Yeah.
Previously when I was trying to talk through the turn. So now Ben, I mean, he hasn't drawn very much. He's drawn a lot of cards and did not pick up the spot rule that he really wants. So he has to fear another creature out of Max. First, to deal with the one that's on the board. He does have an Ultra Price in his hand, it looks like.
Now you see Ben roll up the sleeves. It's time to do some dirty work, boys.
Time to get to work here. If he has to use that, if he uses that Ultra Price on the Lightning Mauler, then he's just dead to a Hellrider, which is certainly concerning. And you figure he's activated Jace twice now, so Max probably still has about 25-ish cards, 30 cards in his library.
Yeah.
So, you know, you still need multiple turns of survival here, and that's hard to do when all their creatures have haste.
Now we see Ben weighing his options. Looks like he's going to change modes on Jace here, maybe? He was so content to mill.
Right, and the whole time I understood he thought that, you know, the Revelation card draw would be enough. And here he goes, milling another 10. So I guess he's just going to hope that Revelation does enough work here.
That's more than 10.
So it's 13 cards left about. And there with the Drown Yard, if it was exactly 13, it actually, Ben is lethal next turn.
Yep. It's definitely something to keep in mind. Ben may be thinking to himself, if I can just hold on one more turn.
And we know Max does not have a creature in his hand.
So let's see.
He will need to draw one here.
What the draw is going to be, as you are going to
Searing
see.
Spear. I thought, no, Hellrider.
Searing Spear.
Searing Spear would just kill Ben if he. Oh no, because he can pay 2 and then he can actually Revelation for 4. The Searing Spear won't do it, but the Hellrider will. Potentially.
So now we do see a Hellrider here.
So we're going to alter price for 2 mana. Oh no, Ben's going to end up getting to 5. So Ben's going to survive at 1 life here. And win this game, I believe. He's an alter price the Hellrider for 2. And he's going to be able to cast Revelation for 4, going to 5, take 4 from the Mauler, go to 1, untap, mill you 10 with Jace, mill you 3 with Drown Yard. And I think from my count, which is rough, that is lethal on Max. He's going to deck himself.
Ooh.
Think twice instead. Interesting. Is that not an ultimate price in his hand?
Looked like an ultimate price to me.
And he has a Revelation. I don't know what we're doing here. Maybe we had them. Well, he's letting them attack. It must
2
not be ultimate
triggers.
price.
Give this a do. Okay, so Max does win that game.
It must not have been an ultimate price in Ben's hand.
It must not have been an ultimate price. I can't imagine what else it was. I mean, it looked like an ultimate
It
price.
could just be a Devour Flash, which wouldn't have been lethal.
Sure.
Would Devour Flash would not do enough there.
Okay.
He still would die to the Hellrider, I guess. Because Hellrider's doing 7.
Sure.
So that must have been what it was.
Okay. Got it. All right.
Wow. So Max, maybe going to the Faceless 5 was worth it then. I still suspect it was. I still suspect killing Jace there would have been better.
It feels very close.
The fact that Ben was 1 rule spell off from winning because he was milling him out.
Yeah.
And if you just killed that Jace, Ben would have no way to win anytime soon.
Sure.
Seems to suggest that I think killing it would have been safer and giving you kind of more lines to win, but it worked out in the end. A very close end to that game, and Max pulling it out, going to game 3 now against Ben Lundquist here.
Interesting card that you bring up, the Damirade, the inevitability that card provides.
Right. It's amazing in this matchup. It really is here for that Esper thing. Drawing the creatures, it pairs so well with itself. You draw creatures and eventually they're going to get haste and get to throw in there and attack for lethal.
Yeah, you know, it's a card that I think of more of in Green Mirrors. You know, the fighting, the back and forth, the drawing the cards, what have you. But you see that, you know, Esper, outside of that one Oblivion Ring, and sometimes, as you said, they do play Detention Spheres and also Oblivion Rings, what have you. You know, they're not really good, because they don't close games fast.
Right.
There's nothing they can actually do about that. And then, I mean, haste plus double strike is the relevant part of that.
Sure.
That's a lot better than I expected to be in the matchup. So we do see both players shuffling up for game 3 here. Big thing for Max was that he's on the play.
Right.
Or excuse me, he's on the draw because he won that game. My apologies. So Ben is on the play.
Big thing for Ben, then.
Yeah, big thing for Ben. It's a big thing for either player.
and now makes things like Syncopate much better than Dissipate, I suspect. If he didn't have that in, he'll make that change for this game.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if he, maybe moves the Syncopates back in, if he moves them out altogether, if he keeps Dissipate, what's his counter magic going to look like?
And Mirror Charm, maybe, I mean, so we should probably, so one of the things that we forgot, we're getting kind of flagged here from off screen, Dominant grants Hexproof.
Oh, sure.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
If we just read the card. It has a lot of words on that ultimate.
Yeah, I was so focused on the haste and the double strike.
Yep.
That, I also forgot that emblem also grants hexproof. What else can it do? What doesn't it do?
Let's pull it back up on screen for one more second here. Refresh our memories as we are sitting here wondering why is Ben not killing him?
Yeah.
When obviously that's why Ben's like. So once that ultimate happens, Ben is basically can't interact with the creatures at all. I mean, Devour Flesh is his only anticipated interaction, and Sweeper's on his own turn is the only way he can really do anything there.
Okay.
So that is there we go. Okay. Much more useful knowledge.
You know why he wasn't casting? You know why he wasn't casting Ultimate Price?
He couldn't.
You know why? Because he can't.
He can't.
Yeah.
That's usually the best reason why. So we were not crazy. We did not misread things. Yeah. We were just wrong.
See, even champions make mistakes. Who knew? Who knew?
I've not ever actually seen that card Ultimate in a game I've been playing. Or
I have
watching.
never seen it Ultimate until it just did right now.
Yep.
I mean, it's kind of funny, right? Like we look at the Ultimates on Planewalkers very briefly. Whenever we're analyzing them, like when they're spoiled or even in games, you're just like, oh, because I mean, if you get there, I just lose. So there's that. Like I'm not going to play a bunch of turns after that. Like you think of Tamio, that Ultimate, it's just like, oh, he's going to start dark scouring himself, and I'm just dead. Okay, I concede.
So Max needed to draw a creature that turn.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, the Sphinx Revelation from Ben would have been enough.
Yep.
And he got there. He did have a redraw, and he could have just played the Dominant in his hand and plus the hit.
Yep.
Trying to find a second creature. But it looks like Max here might be taking a mulligan the way he's flipping his hand face down. And
does not look happy about that hand at all. So he's going to go down to 6. You see Ben content with his 7, with his little Stoneblade Entertainment shirt on. Keep in mind, we're not covering this tournament, the Ascension tournament, but
it is going on tomorrow.
It will be going on tomorrow. Ascension Steel. You Ascension kind of guy?
It's a really fun game. In fact, we actually have a Magic Hall of Famer, Rob Doherty, here, set up in the corner of the room with 8 copies of the new Ascension going on.
Oh.
So you can just walk up, you can sit down, you can battle your friends with the brand new, just released physical copy of the new Ascension expansion.
Okay.
8 different. So I was over there and I saw actually Magic Hall of Famers V. Mauschwitz and Magic Hall of Fame hopeful Baby Huey Jensen battling at Ascension.
Just a couple people hanging out.
And maybe they will be future Ascension Hall of Famers. You don't know. We'll find out in the next coming decade.
Yeah, that game is in its early stages, but it is a blast. I know everyone pretty much enjoys it. And I know that, as you said, the new version just came out, and we have that Ascension Seal tournament tomorrow, where if you win, you get your likeness on a card. So
which is pretty cool prize.
Pretty good combo. Stoneblade plus Star City. Be able to get a bunch of tournaments out. I can't wait to see how frequently we run those. Maybe it'll just be at invitationals. Maybe we'll do it at all the opens. Who knows? We'll see how this one goes.
And here you see, okay, Max now drawing 6, and then putting some cards back, and now probably drawing 6 is my guess. Yes, we updated our count.
Yeah.
And now Ben having a little chat with the judge. Okay, now we're looking at our hands here. Max contemplating, and
he's happy.
He's happy.
So Drowned Catacomb's going to lead off for Ben. You're going to see a mountain into a strong Kirk Noble. So good start here.
Ben had the slip. Ben, interestingly, okay, so we do see the Syncopate now.
Okay. I was a little bit scared. You see Nephalia Drown Yard as his second land.
Which, given that he has the M12 duel as the only other land, makes sense.
Yeah. You see Ultimate Price going to take care of that. So Max did not have a turn 2 follow-up, so Ben was willing to take the point of damage. If he played a guy, he syncopates it, but he's like, all right, I'll go to 19.
So Max should know 100% now that Ben has a syncopate.
Yeah. Now you see Boros Reckoner, and that is going to get taken care of by syncopate for 1.
And actually, I have no problem kind of running into that syncopate, even if you know that it's there, because he has another Boros Reckoner in his hand. He needs to clear the syncopate out.
Yep.
Ben, though, has to be happy. No creatures on the table, and at 19 life on turn 4.
So now here is another Boros Reckoner. I mean, yeah, if you're Ben, you're feeling great. Your opponent's taking a mulligan. You see another Syncopate here for 2. And now you see Max's hand of Searing Spear Mountain and a mystery card. Ben draws a card for the turn. He plays a John Yard. You've seen a Azorius Charm over there. And it looks like multiple Sphinx's Revelations. Yeah.
If Ben just keeps hitting his land drops, and then we see a Skullcrack drawn, though. That will not as valuable when Ben's at 19.
Yeah, this isn't a backbreaking Skullcrack whatsoever because Ben cares more about the cards here than the life.
I honestly might not even use it there. I might wait for a bigger one later.
Sure.
You know, he's only gaining 2 life. That said, though, when you're not doing anything, you're just saying go. It can be hard. You know, you want to pull the trigger on a spell and get something going.
You see Watergrave. Now you're going to see Ben play a thing twice. You might see him flash it back right now too. Yeah, so he's going to draw himself 2 cards here. He's going to untap. He'll take a draw step. It's going to be a Restoration Angel.
Yeah, this one is looking
pretty grim for McVety.
I mean, it's the when you mulligan with these kind of aggressive decks, they require you to get a synergistic start to get ahead. Now you see something like Strong Kirk Noble here on turn 7 or 8, not really doing anything.
Yep.
So Ben thinking through his options here. He has a lot of them. You know, we see 2 Revelations in his hand, the Azorius Charm, just all the action.
There's
We're Snapcaster. We're just going to alter price this. We really just, no, you don't keep anything. 1/1s, nope.
Yeah.
None of that on my watch.
I'm taking care of every single thing that you do. I guess
when you have the Restoration Angel in your hand to blink the Snapcaster, pretty reasonable. Could have tried to just ambush and just eat it with the Restoration Angel, but he wants value. Ben thinks I can get more out of these cards this game, and he can.
It looks like Ben. It feels like to me he just wants to close this game out. He's so far ahead that he just wants to take it to closing time. You see Burning Emissary as the draw here for Max.
It looks like only 1 Revelation. The one is a Supreme Verdict. Oh no, there are 2 Revelations.
Yeah,
it's just it all.
Yeah, that is it all in his hand. As you do see Revelation here for 4. Skullcrack from Max.
May have had the second one already, which is probably why he used the first one so aggressively.
Sure. You see that Revelation resolve. Ben quickly untaps. Doesn't care about Burning Emissary. That's fine.
That one will just trade with our friend, the Snapcaster Mage.
You see Ben starting to thumb through his hand a little bit. The world is his oyster here. Plenty of options. Just has to navigate a way to get this game over with here and make it so that he doesn't get, runner. The
only thing he's really worried about at this point is just finding a path to the W.
And for all of you guys at home watching, first of all, we appreciate you guys watching. But my phone has blown up in a way that I did not think was possible as we were missing the hexproof again on Domri
quite a bit, yep.
So we appreciate you guys bringing it up to us there, tweeting at SCG Live, #SCGINVI, also Tom and I's personal Twitters. We swear we're not idiots. We just did so many things, so many keywords on Domri. Who knew? It's unbelievable.
The public did not miss this.
No, they knew.
I've got 25 different people who've pointed out the hexproof, so thank you all for being very observant. A lot of Magic being played, a lot of action happening here.
Have you guys all Ultimate Domri? Because Tom and I haven't yet. We have never done that yet.
Here we see sad times for Max.
Yeah, we see Restoration Angel going to blink here. You see the Searing Spear in Max's hand, and it's just like, am I going to pull the trigger as Restoration Angel is going to get in front of this? You saw Ben targeting something with that Snapcaster Mage.
Maybe Syncopate, just to give him some protection. I guess not Syncopate.
Yeah, it's the Azorius Charm. Now you see Ben thumb a card through, and Restoration Angel is going to bite the dust. And don't think he minds all that much again. If you're trading a series for Restoration Angel, you're in great shape. He does just pass the turn back. Ben going to cycle that Azorius Charm.
Yep, from his graveyard.
Yep. Draw an Augur of Bolas, get deeper into his deck. Draws a Drunk Catacomb for the turn. And now here is an Augur of Bolas. So 3 cards for Ben. Supreme Verdict is the one that's going to go to the hand. Island and Hollow Fountain are going to go to the bottom.
And he does have another Revelation in his hand, so...
More cards, more life, more fun. I would say for everyone, but there's one person probably not having a lot of fun.
Max is not enjoying this one.
No.
I think Ben might be about to discard the hand size. Oh no, we're holding steady at 7.
Just at 7, that's it. As Max draws a Temple Garden, you see that, or he draws a Stomping Ground, you see the Temple Garden and the Mountain in his hand. And unfortunately for Max, the game seems to not break this way, the way that he wanted to. The first 2 games certainly broke the way that he'd like for them to. Or the game that he won. But the other 2, the first one and this one, just his deck just did not cooperate with him at all.
Yep. I mean, here he had to take a mulligan to 6, kept a speculative hand, which is a little creature light, but again on 6 cards seemed like a pretty reasonable keep at the time, and unfortunately just did not draw much after that. He did things like draw Skullcracks early.
Yep.
And you really want to draw those on like turn 6.
Yeah, you need to draw. The thing about Skullcrack is, you know, it is a good card as an answer to Sphinx Revelation, but it's so light. It's this card that
It's set until then.
Yeah, it's a timing card.
Yes.
You have to draw it at the right moment. It's not a card that you want in your opening hand if you set at all.
Because there's no influence. You want the turn before your opponent's going to cast their Sphinx Revelation.
And you have
like,
no.
Oh, hey, here it is. I found this card.
Yeah, and you have no control over that at all. I know when that card was, you know, spoiled and released, I was like, finally the card that Red wanted, and I agree that it is the card that Red wants, but it's this card that Red needs at a certain time.
Or a certain style of Red deck, right? If you're a burn deck, it's fine. You can have that card early. But this deck is not a burn deck. This is a creature deck that's trying to use Skullcrack, you know, to supplement your primary offensive. Here the creatures did 1 point of damage to Ben, or 3 points of damage, or something like that. Yeah. 1 point, right? Ben's only taken 7, and there's been 2 Skullcracks. He did 1 point of creature damage. It was that strong noble that Ben chose not to kill until it did the point.
Yep.
To kill it at end of turn.
So you see a Burning Tree Emissary.
The loneliest emissary.
We'll see. Maybe a drawing activation. Maybe a. Okay,
no,
think twice. You're just gonna get flashback.
To draw more cards.
Some people just love to draw cards.
Oh, he's killing with damage. Oh, here we have the 4th Revelation. It looks like it was just drawn for Ben.
There you can see Oblivion Ring on Burning Tree Emissary. I think that's we'll call that maximum rub-ins, as we're going to see an attack here for 5.
We even saw Ben here use that Azorius Charm, not to draw a card actually, but to gain lifelink.
We call that secret mode, as there is a Lightning Mauler, and Max has just passed the turn
at
back.
1 life. Maybe he won't attack with everyone.
Well, here's the Sphinx Revelation. 4 more cards, 4 more life, and a concession. So Ben Lundquist does win with Esper Control 2-1 over Max McVety.
Remaining at X and 3, I believe.
X and 3 is what Ben is at. I know he squeaked in yesterday. He had to win, and we see him paired here at table 4. He does have 30 points. Right. So yeah, he was at X and 3.
So and remains strongly in contention for the top 8 in this tournament.
He was, as I said yesterday, I talked to him when he was 3 and 3. Yep. And he was 4 and 3. And he was 5 and 3. And he was just like, I just squeaked in the day 2. And now he's climbing, 4-0'd with Merfolk. And I talked to him after his last one with Merfolk. I was on break that round.